So today is again the Stephanie and Alex show for a second time for today's episode, February 24th, 2026. But let's get into it, guys, because this was more eventful than yesterday's episode, I must say. So gold star goes out to EJ because EJ was the MVP the whole entire episode. He has been incredibly helpful, and the fact that you have some certain people dogging him out and trying to blame him for this situation just really annoys the hell out of me. Anyways, he's there minding his business, bumps into Alex, they go about their business, and then Alex said, wait, EJ, I wanted to just thank you for, the picture frame you sent me and Stephanie, congratulating us on our engagement. So he said, huh? What? I didn't even know you guys were engaged. Congrats, by the way, but I didn't send nothing over. And he said, you sure your assistant didn't send it over? So he said Kat would have at least informed me about this. So now I'm confused. So anyways, Alex is like, okay, something is really up. So he goes and storms off, and EJ follows behind him. Now, on yesterday's episode, Jada got on the phone trying to call the person that's supposed to be protecting Stephanie at her mom's office. Now, she's not getting through to him. She called him twice, not getting through to him. At this point, they're worried, and they also get a call from the school talking about Jeremy's not there. He escaped. So at this point, everybody's frantic. They're sending out more police officers. So at this point, they exhausted everybody's the resources there, and all the taxes that the people have been paying, they used up all of that to find this one girl, Stephanie. Anyways, they raced over to the hospital. Kayla was already there. She saw the officer that was supposed to be watching Stephanie. He's unconscious. She asked for medical help for him, and he's starting to wake up, and she's like, where's my daughter? Like, what's happening? So he's, out of it because he's been knocked unconscious. Now, she is now panicking because she's wondering, like, where is Stephanie? She goes into the office. She doesn't see her. So she's about to call Steve. Steve and Jada come in. Alex and EJ already are there, and they also share information. EJ is being super helpful because at this point he doesn't owe them shit, but he still goes ahead and he shuts down the whole hospital. He calls certain people, make arrangements, and he's cooperative. Even Jada asks him to I asked him for access to his lab, for it to be searched. Everywhere has to be searched. And he said, okay, cool. I'll let Dr. Green know. So EJ has been super cooperative at this point, trying to extend himself in various ways, right? Now, to break it up a little bit, they had a scene with Sarah and Chanel. And Chanel's there for appointment. Johnny's not there because Johnny got caught up with work. And, she's just hoping that it will be wrapped up soon so he can be more involved in the day-to-day with their child that they already have, and Thea will be back as CEO. So it's rough on her now because she's dealing with the pregnancy, running the business. She hasn't found nobody to run her business, so it's a lot on her, and she's just hoping that Johnny can relieve her soon. Now they go ahead without him, and Sarah said, what, it's time to hear the heartbeat. So she didn't want to do it without Johnny, but Sarah convinced her to record it so that Johnny can hear it later. She did, and she's happy that she was convinced to do so. Now they have some chat about blood work and all of that. She asks Sarah how does she manage a hectic job and also raising a child. So she said, it's up and down. It definitely has its challenges, and I do feel guilty when I leave my daughter with the sitter or the nanny. But my mom reminds me that there will be first that I will be a part of, and you won't hold their hand forever, but you hold their heart forever, which was a beautiful quote. And she said her daughter sometimes asks about her dad, and she can't allow Xander to be in the child's life for some reason. I just don't understand, right? The daughter is used to her father being around, and you, because of your personal feelings towards him, you don't want him to have any visitation rights. At least visitation rights, right? Supervised visitation if you feel uncomfortable. But this is just ridiculous to me. But anyways, she says, Johnny should have a great marriage, and she's glad that they have a stable life for the baby and the baby that's to come. Now, at some point, Sarah gets the news that the hospital shut down. She's going over there to attend to the officer that is unconscious. Chanel comes out and she sees her mom, and her mom just came in from the meeting. EJ, she sees what she's asking, like, what's really going on? And she goes over and she's like, I know who's the source is and who I need to go and talk to. And I'm just saying, dear God, here we go with Paulina and her foolishness. She goes over and blames EJ for what's going on without knowing the circumstances. And EJ's like, it's not me. I'm just here to help. Stephanie Johnson has been kidnapped and she's just there eating crow. And I'm just saying, this woman is just unbearable. And, Chanel was there as well. And, at some point, Chanel doesn't feel well. But she said she's just tired. She had to sit down. But we can tell that something else is going on. Hopefully, she doesn't lose the baby. Now, on to Jada, Kayla, EJ, and Alex. Now, Steve had left because he was going to talk with his contacts, search the ground. He's going to tear this place upside down to find his little girl. He assures Kayla. And, Kayla is just, as any mother would be, worried. Now, what I didn't like what Kayla did regarding EJ is, she wanted to blame him for the security service and the lack thereof. And he's like, come on now. I didn't know. You can't blame me for a homicidal maniac like Jeremy Horton running around the place. You can't blame me for that. So they're getting into it. And Alex is like, no, it's not the time for this foolishness. Like, Stephanie's missing. We need to work together, right? So at some point, Jada said, all right, officer's gonna come with you guys. EJ agrees to go with Alex to go back at the house because he thinks something is up with the picture frame that was sent, that it may be bugged. Now, Jada gives them an officer, as I said, and Jada just comforts Kayla and said that, look, we're gonna find her. Don't worry about it. I know that you're going through a lot, but we're gonna find her. Make no remarks about that. We're gonna make sure that happens. So EJ and Alex, they're walking through the pub area, and EJ is like, maybe we need to take a different access way. Maybe Jeremy is waiting you there at the apartment at the opening. So Alex thinks about going through the safety area, and the officer follows them, and then you have Jeremy in the hoodie just watching them. Now, Jeremy had Stephanie's phone for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe he's trying to prove something, because that's when Steve was trying to call her earlier, but he had the phone and it was ringing, but I just don't know what's his end game with this. Like, is he trying to prove he's innocent this way? Let's see. So Jada also checked in on the officer because she did ask Kayla if she could go ahead and question him if he's up to it. And Kayla said Sarah should be there helping him. You should be fine. Now, also Jada did tell Kayla and Steve that Jeremy was at the school. The students saw him. However, when the police came, he went to the bathroom. So Steve is wondering, like, how did he really escape with all the cops there? So it turns out that he probably could have gone through the bathroom window. But I'm just saying, even if he gone through the bathroom window, like, you're telling me if the cops claim to have surrounded the area, you don't think they would have seen every exit way or possible exit way? You wouldn't think they would use their common sense to think, okay, the person of interest is not going to go to the common entrance or exit. They're probably going to look for different ways to exit. You guys don't know of prisoners escaping, like they've never been aware? I don't understand. It seems to me like the S in Salem stands for really slow, like slow, because I don't understand. And it took a while for people to recognize that, okay, it took Alex to recognize that the picture frame probably has been bugged. You think that Steve, the private eye, maybe would have recognized that from the get-go. Steve is off his game, maybe his one eye is not working, because he would have seen these things from the get-go. So anyways, back to the scene because I got distracted. So Sarah examined the guy, and she said that he's okay, just waiting on some blood work. And Jada asked him, like, what really happened, can you remember? So he said it's kind of foggy, but he remembers somebody dressed up in a medical suit, has some tray of test tubes, and he dropped one and he was helping him, and that's when he was unconscious. Now he wants to help because he feels like he let them down by not watching over Stephanie. And Jada said, you're in no condition, and even Sarah said that, so you can help at the CCTV footage thing, you can help Sean go over it. Now, Sarah talked to Jada privately, and she tells her that the officer probably has been injected with a certain chemical, but she's having it at the lab being examined to see how Jeremy could have gotten access to it. Now, Jada also apologized to Sarah because Jeremy's family to her, and she knows it's definitely difficult for her to hear this news, but she just wants Stephanie to be found, and she knows that Jada and Stephanie are real close friends, so she just is feeling for her. Now, Stephanie is there in some basement of some sort, and she's there overly acting at this point, because I just think it's over the top at this point, screaming and this heavy breathing. Now, a person comes in the medical suit, and it seems to be Jeremy, and Jeremy's talking about how he's in love with her, and he just wanted to show his love for her, and her writing that novel just showed how she was interested in him, and that she still has feelings for him. And he asks if she wanted to talk or something like that, and he removes the gag, and he said, if you start screaming, I'm putting it back. So she said, you don't have to do this, Jeremy. And he said, he asked if she still love him, and she said, no, I'm not in love with you after what you've done. Nope. So at this point, he puts the gag back on her, and then he leaves, and then she starts screaming, doing that over the top acting that she's been doing. Now at some point, she had this hallucination or dream that Alex came to her rescue, but Jeremy had the gun pointed at him, and he's saying that, look, Alex got to go because he's in the way of us getting together. And she was saying, like, Jeremy, you don't have to do this to Alex. If you do this, I won't forgive you, and I promise I will go with you wherever you are. Just let Alex go. And he said, I can't do that. He's in the way of us being together, right? Now he shot him, and then she's screaming, but she realizes it's a dream, and then she's still there by herself and doing this over the top acting again. Now Steve makes his rounds, and he goes over to Julie. Julie is not really in the mood to see him, but he said it's important. Jeremy possibly kidnapped Stephanie. So she said, you guys really on this again? Like, I'm not really convinced. So he shows her the video of what appears to be Jeremy in this laboratory coats going after Alex, trying to stab him. And she said, oh my gosh, I didn't want to believe it. The evidence was right in front of me, and I'm sorry. I guess it really proves it. Now Steve understands her sentiments, and he understands why she would be defending Jeremy, and he accepts her apology, and she just wished that she could have been less protective over Jeremy and really more helpful. So he said to her, if there's any chance where Jeremy comes to the house, let me or the police know. And he asked her if she would know of his whereabouts, where he would take Stephanie. So she gives him the Horton cabin key, because that's somewhere where he loves to go, especially as a kid. Now she also had to inform his father about what's going on, because he was supposed to be on his way to New York City after he has his last day of school with the kids. Now Steve is saying apparently that was not in his plans. Now also Julie also apologized to Steve because they are going through a lot, and she wished she could have been more helpful, but he said it doesn't even matter either way, because I feel like I let down Stephanie, and I could have done a lot more to help protect her from Jeremy. So anyways, Sarah goes and finds Kayla, who is just worried about her daughter, looking through pictures, and she said, you know what, get me through a rough time, prayer. And she invites Kayla to go to chapel to pray. So they do that. They come back and they see Steve, and they ask what's going on, and Steve said there's still no leads, and I'm sorry about that, but make no mistakes, I'm going to tear the whole of Salem upside down, the whole of the hospital upside down to find her baby girl. And she's confident that he will. I think that was really it. Jada did provide a few updates as well regarding his whereabouts, that he's still on the loose. Yeah, that was really it. So anyways, Alex and EJ, they are at the apartment with the officer. So The officer is there like this big buffoon looking over the picture frame, and he's not figuring out that there's a bug. So EJ had to be the one with the sense. And, he borrows the gloves from the officer and he goes over and he said, look, I'm good at pest control. I know where to spot a bug. So he points it out. Now, Alex is furious. Alex is going into barbarian mode, and he screams into the bug, and he's saying that, you hear that? If you lay a hand to Stephanie, I'm gonna kill you with my bare hands, blah blah blah, macho man. And he rushes off, and EJ is running behind him at this point. But yes, MVP of the day, EJ. Big up yourself. You were the boss today. But honestly, what grinds my gears today was with Paulina and Kayla just blaming EJ for every little thing. Go ahead and blame him for climate change as well. Like every little thing that goes wrong, you guys want to go after EJ, and she just wrong. She's just strong and wrong, honestly. This Paulina person, very strong and wrong. Like I had to roll my eyes when she was rushing over there to him and blaming him. Every little thing she wanna blame him. Just stupid. But anyways, this is it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.